Yo, so I was just looking into working on the course for Module 2, and something important came up, which I know I probably haven't talked about, but it needs to be said so that you are more prepared for the module and so that you know kind of how you're supposed to approach what is being taught. First off, I think that is important if you're going to go into this module and you really want to get into personality. Um, you purchase this book, The Wisdom of the Enneagram. And the funny thing is, I've never used the Enneagram. I've never looked into it. I only looked into it because of this personality module. But, maybe, I don't know. I think if you really want to get into the Enneagram, go ahead and purchase this book. But the author really provides a great framework for awakening through understanding your personality, which is really the point of this module. I was able to access my personality and understand it. And in doing so, I was able to understand the way I moved and also understand that I kind of wasn't restricted to my traits, that my traits they brought a lot of self-awareness. They allowed me to kind of get to know myself a lot more. But I think the author here really pushes something, even kind of another perspective that I hadn't thought about, which is that your personality itself can serve as something that blocks you off from your true essence, because your true essence lies beyond the personality. So the author states that whenever you catch yourself acting out the traits and tendencies of your personality, then that's really you falling into unconsciousness. So he really emphasizes the importance of self-awareness, and I can tell that the author was very tuned into the esoteric. He states things about spirituality. He starts talking about, he mentions how psychology is integral to spirituality and vice versa. So I will say that um I would say that this book does great, and if you're going to use this book the right way, you want to kind of access you want to use the Enneagram as an example that you can also replace with other personality frameworks. So, like, instead of the Enneagram, you can say what the author is talking about, and then plop in the MBTI, or which is the Myers Briggs, or you can plop in the Big Five, etc. So what he's saying about the Enneagram, which is, he's basically saying that you can use the Enneagram, you can learn about yourself through the Enneagram, you can find your strengths and weaknesses through it, and you can also observe yourself whenever you're falling into these tendencies. You can use the personality as a platform for awakening, because as you become more self-aware and as you get to know yourself more, you can begin to strip away everything that is not truly you, because your personality isn't truly you. It is more so our default mode. So by transcending the default mode, we enter into our soul. Excuse me, I was gonna sneeze. And the important point that I want to give you here is that you can use your personality for awakening. And there are many things that the author talks about. For example, awareness leads to presence. The fear of being present. He talks a lot about this. These are very powerful concepts that help you transform yourself. Identification in the inner observer, learning to observe and let go. What is awareness? Waking up, catching ourselves in the act, and this concept of catching ourselves in the act, that's actually something I use for shadow work. And if you can use this for your personality, I think that would be you using shadow work along the lines of you learning personality. Now, I don't want this to complicate the module anymore. I just want you to understand that if you take on this approach, then you can be doing many things at once. But the step that the progression that I really want you to focus on is being able to first off, the most important thing is to draw awareness to the personality. In drawing awareness to the personality, you understand that there's a distinction between you and other individuals. You have specific traits and tendencies that can be mapped out and be put on a personality through a personality framework. And in doing that, you can learn your uniqueness. So you kind of, and you also understand the patterns, the source of your actions, the patterns through your life. So then you can reflect on your past and think about the times that you've made decisions, some struggles that you've gone through, and then the personality test can explain why you have that specific struggle. For example, for me, I'm an INTJ, and I struggled a lot with women, romance, and that actually tends to be a struggle that a lot of INTJs go through. So I use the INTJ to help me first understand why it was difficult for me, and they explain that, and so that's the first step, understanding the patterns. And then the second step is going to be developing yourself through the personality. So developing the personality, building it up, developing those traits that you're lacking in, really focusing on your strengths. For example, me, when the moment that I realized that I wasn't good at romance, I made it my goal to become better in romance, to become better at expressing myself in a loving manner. And then that's when I kind of tuned into the lover archetype. But we're not going to go into that yet. So just so you understand, the first step then will become, as I said, understanding the personality, which will bring awareness to it. Just bringing awareness to it. And the second is developing yourself through the personality. And then transcending it, which will be basically you being able to master the personality and use it as a tool to fulfill your purpose. In reference to this course, you finding your purpose, it stems from it will be a variety of ways. So at first you're gonna find the different traits that make you who you are, and so then that will lead you to see how you can function in this world differently than others, and how you can serve differently than others. And that can be useful information for you if you're trying to figure out what your career you should take on. And then the next step on purpose, which is developing through the personality, that can give you a sense of purpose, because you can then look at your life and see where you're most weakest at, and that will be the limitation towards your purpose. So you can't serve the world if you don't know how to speak your truth, for example. So then, I learned to speak my truth through romance, through cold approaching, through talking to women, etc. So that's the second way that it can help you to find your purpose. And then the third way that it can help you find your purpose is going to be through connecting to the soul. So once you have mastered it and you have detached yourself from the personality, you can then gain a deeper sense of the vision of your soul, of what it wanted you to do coming into this life, and then you'll have access to that soul purpose, that really strong, powerful, deep purpose. So, like I said, if you're really interested in personality and I have to choose one book that you should read when it comes to learning about your personality, it would be this book. Not so much because of the specific modality that the author uses, but because of the approach that the author uses. So the mindset that this man has developed through the years of practice, and I don't even know who he is, Don Richard Riso and Russ Hudson. I could just tell that his mind has developed to a specific point in spiritual development and personal development that has allowed him to take this tool of the Enneagram and use it as a powerful tool for transformation. And that's what we're going to be doing in the course. And I want you to really, if you had to choose one, it would be this one, man. So here it is. Let's see. The wisdom of the Enneagram includes 2 highly accurate questionnaires for determining your type, vivid individual profiles focused on maximizing each type's potential and minimizing predictable pitfalls, spiritual jumpstarts, wake-up calls, and red flags for each type, dozens of individualized exercises and practical strategies for letting go of troublesome habits, improving relationships, and increasing inner freedom, revealing insights into deepest motivations, fears, and desires of each type. Um, yeah, so those are very powerful tools, and I'm only into like page 60, and the way that the man uses, even look like the instinctive triad, the feeling triad, the thinking triad. Those are the ways that we develop. We develop through instinct, through feeling, through thinking, and then through spirit. So I love the fact that he's able to break these things down. He talks about self-image. He lays out the duality here of the mental, of what it means to be the personality and what it means to be in your essence. The thinking center being the mental chatter, figuring it out. That'll be you in your personality, anxiety and fear. And then the essence, where you're truly being yourself. You actually have a quiet mind. You have inner guidance, knowing, clarity, open to the present moment. And then for the feeling center, for example, he describes the personality in reference to self-image. So what image do you have, and are you living up to that image onto people? The stories that you carry, your emotionality, holding on to moods. And then when you're tapped into your essence, he says the feeling center is then more about authenticity, truthfulness, compassion, forgiveness, and flow, inner directed. And then the instinctive center. So, for example, personality. When you're in your personality, when you're unconscious, when you're being driven by your personality unconsciously, you're mostly going to be finding irritation. There's going to be boundaries. There's going to be tension, numbness, defending through the instinctive center. And then when you're connected through your essence, you'll be connected with life, relaxed, open, sensing, inner strength. So this is a powerful book. I wish I had more time to read it, and I wish that I could really module the course more like this. But at the same time, this is also an approach that I didn't take on during my journey. What I did was a different approach, which I mentioned earlier. I approached personality in the sense of knowing myself. This is really who I am. And then I wanted to develop myself. So that gave me a goal. And it wasn't until I developed myself to a specific point where I was like, oh, I'm meant to now become a weapon for my purpose. So it never became a thing of duality of, okay, this is my personality and this is my essence. So when I'm in my personality, that means that I'm not tuned into my true essence, and I'm limiting myself. The way I interpreted this information, this really falls more along the lines of shadow work. So I did have the transformation, but it was used through another approach. It was used in shadow work. And so this will prepare you for the next, I'm thinking about using shadow work in the course, but at the same time, it depends. It just depends on where I'm at. So it might change, and I might have a separate course just for shadow work altogether. But this book will be a great way. You'll be able to get the best of both worlds. You'll get my approach, and then you'll get this approach, which is duality, and mine is more transcendence through the personality, and this is more so transcendence through distinction of the personality, and the soul. Both are very powerful approaches, and if you can read the book alongside the module, I think you will find so much insights in personality tools, and also through the occult tools, which I will be talking about, such as astrology, numerology, etc. Because another thing that I wanted to say is that as we get on the later half of this course, we're going to be talking about numerology and astrology. And the interesting thing about these tools is that they kind of already inherently have that distinction within them, where in astrology, there's you can read the astrology chart through the personality, or you can read the astrology chart through the soul. And depending on which perspective you are taking on, the chart will speak to you differently. But that is going to complicate too much. It's going to be too much for you to think about. What I want you to focus on is just remember what I said. It's about you being able to learn, gain awareness, develop, and then transcend. And and use that book as a companion to the course. And I also forgot to mention, that so the course will give you a lot of the information of the personality itself. So as you're going through it, just understand that the approach I want you to take on is one of you having the approach to find your purpose, to understand yourself, really, okay, primarily to find your purpose, but then also understand the progression. So if you don't know your personality, understand your personality. And then if you find yourself wanting to develop certain aspects of your personality, then that's the next stage. And then the next stage after that is connecting to your soul through your personality. And that means that I don't want you to get too bogged up on the material itself. Get in there and just look at the different modalities that you can use. These are all just tools for you, where you can just, whether it be the Enneagram, whether it be the MBTI, whether it be the Big Five, whether it be Hexaco, any one of these different tools. I want you to be able to have this mindset, and then just like use one tool and then and develop yourself, and then use another and then develop more of yourself, and another, and keep developing yourself. So that way, that's the best approach. That way you don't get too locked in on one personality test and one personality result, because that's also an issue. What we don't want you to do is for you to take the test and say, I'm an INTJ, and then you just restrict yourself to being an INTJ, which is not the whole point. The point is that you can understand yourself through the perspective of an INTJ, and then that will allow you to further expand on who you are, because now you have a basis to work from, rather than having nowhere to work from and just trying to figure things out. And I'll just say that doing it through the framework of personality, I think, is the most logical step in the course. This is why this is the second module, the module right after the introductory module, because you will get results like that. You will be able to make the connections. Oh, this is why I'm bad at romance, or oh, this is why I think this way. And doing so, you'll be able to unlock a lot of knowledge about spirituality, and a lot of knowledge also about psychology, and that will serve as an introduction into all of the concepts that will come afterwards when it pertains to self-development. All right, so that's the last point. I might just make this video public, just because this video is great as a standalone video. And if you guys are interested in the course, make sure to click on the link down below. The first module is out for free on my channel, and then the rest of the modules will be on the in the Skool community. So join now. First 20 members is free. After that, we'll start charging. And yeah, thank you for tuning in, and good luck on the next module. All right, thank you. Peace out.